Harlem, New York. It was 11:52 p.m. on Saturday, February 10th, 1940. The temperature was 29 degrees, with wind sharp enough to cut skin, the kind of February night where only desperation kept people outdoors. Snow from 2 days ago had turned to gray slush, and the few working streetlights cast yellow pools on ice-slicked sidewalks. Bumpy Johnson stood in the bedroom of their apartment on 115th Street, holding a white gardenia between her thumb and forefinger like it was evidence in a trial she hadn't known she was part of. The flower was fresh, petals firm, stem damp, which meant it had been in Bumpy's coat pocket within the last few hours. And it smelled like expensive perfume. Not hers. She'd found it emptying his pockets before taking his suits to Mrs. Chen's cleaning shop, the small ritual that kept their life looking respectable, even when the money came from policy gambling and enforcement jobs that left blood on Bumpy's knuckles. Loose change went into a jar, matchbooks into the trash, slips of paper with phone numbers into the fire. But this white gardenia with its ghost of perfume, this didn't fit any category she'd prepared for. Billie Holiday wore gardenias. Everyone in Harlem knew that. The small white flower she pinned in her hair every night before stepping onto whatever stage would have her, whether the Apollo or some smoke-filled basement club where the only thing pure was her voice cutting through the air like a blade wrapped in silk. Bumpy had seen Billie perform. Once, 3 weeks ago, when Bumpy insisted she come to see what all the fuss was about. They'd sat at a corner table on 133rd Street, and when Billie Holiday walked onto that tiny stage with a gardenia above her left ear and sang "Strange Fruit," Bumpy had felt something break open inside her chest, recognition that this woman knew pain that couldn't be taught, only lived. And Bumpy, her husband who could watch a man bleed out without blinking, had sat perfectly still through all 3 songs, his drink untouched, his eyes fixed on the stage like he was watching something holy. After the show, he'd insisted they go backstage. Billie had been gracious, shaking Bumpy's hand. Any woman who can keep Bumpy Johnson's feet under the same table every night is stronger than me. It had been a compliment. Now, holding this gardenia, Bumpy wasn't sure, because in 3 weeks since, Bumpy had gone back to that club 4 times, maybe 5. Business, he claimed. But gardenias didn't end up in coat pockets by accident. Someone had put it there, Billie, Bumpy, or someone who wanted Bumpy to doubt. She heard the front door open, Bumpy's footsteps in the hallway, heavy, deliberate, the walk of a man who owned every room, keys on the table, coat coming off. That small sigh when he thought no one was listening. Bumpy closed her hand around the gardenia, felt petals crush, and made a decision. She would find the truth. Not by asking. Men like him lied before they breathed. She would watch, follow, become invisible until she knew the undeniable truth. She slipped the gardenia into her pocket, walked out with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, and kissed her husband hello like nothing had changed. But something had. Sunday, February 11th, 1940, 11:43 p.m. Bumpy didn't sleep. By dawn, she'd built and demolished 17 theories. Only one thing was certain. Staying home wondering would drive her insane. Only Billie could tell her the truth. That night, she went to the club. The Ivory Room on 133rd Street was all dark red walls and sticky floors, air thick with smoke and desperation, people trying to forget their lives for 3 hours at a stretch. Billie Holiday stood under a single spotlight, white gardenia in her hair, hands wrapped around the microphone stand. She sang Yesterdays, slow, mournful, each word pulled from her throat like confession. Mamie watched from the back, feeling that same terrible recognition. The song ended. Billie's eyes swept the room and landed on Mamie. For 1 second, something flickered. Surprise, fear, resignation. Then she looked away, announced a break, disappeared backstage. Mamie didn't hesitate. She walked through the club, past men who turned to watch, past the bartender who wisely said nothing, and pushed open the door marked Private. Billie stood at a cracked mirror, unpinning the gardenia. She didn't turn around. "I wondered how long it would take," she said quietly. "How long what would take?" Billie turned, holding the gardenia between 2 fingers. "How long before you came to see if I was sleeping with your husband?" The directness hit like a slap. "Are you?" Billie set the gardenia down. "No, I'm not." "Then why did I find one of those in his coat pocket last night?" Billie's eyes widened. "You found a gardenia with perfume. Your perfume." Billie swore softly, sat heavily. "Somebody's trying to start a war." "What?" "I didn't give your husband a gardenia. I give them to people, fans, friends, but not Bumpy. Never. We have an understanding that doesn't include flowers and romance." "Then how?" "Because somebody wants you angry at me, or him, or both. Wants you fighting so whatever protection your husband gives me goes away." "Protection from what?" Billie lit a cigarette with shaking hands. "You ever heard of Frankie Doyle?" "No. White gangster, downtown clubs. Thinks Harlem's ripe for picking now that Dutch Schultz is dead. He wants what your husband has, and he thinks the best way is taking away what Bumpy protects, including me." "Why you?" "Because I'm visible. I sing songs that make white folks uncomfortable and colored folks proud. If Frankie can control me, hook me on his supply, make me testify against Bumpy, make me disappear, it sends a message. Bumpy Johnson can't protect his own." She exhaled smoke. "And the best way to stop Bumpy protecting me? Make his wife think he's betraying her. Make you so angry you won't let him near me. Either way, I end up alone and vulnerable." So the gardenia was planted. By somebody working for Frankie. Slipped into his coat at the club, maybe. Point is, you found it. You're here. Now you choose. "Choose what?" Billie looked at her directly. "Believe me or don't. Go home and tear your marriage apart over a flower planted to do exactly that. Or believe that sometimes the enemy of your enemy is the woman standing scared in front of you, telling truth because she's got nobody else." Mamie was quiet. Everything her gut told her when she stripped away fear and hurt pride pointed one way. If I believe you, what happens? We figure out how to stop Frankie before he takes everything we need to survive. How? Billie smiled, but it wasn't happy. I don't know yet, but you're smarter than you look and I'm meaner than I sing. Between us, we might stand a chance. Bumpy Johnson, respectable wife, churchwoman, looked at Billie Holiday, scandalous singer, addict, and made her decision. All right, let's talk. And somewhere across town, in a brownstone that smelled like money and ambition, Frankie Doyle poured a drink and waited for the phone call that would tell him his plan was working, that the first crack in Harlem's armor had been opened. He didn't know yet that he'd just created the one thing more dangerous than a gangster with a gun. An alliance between two women who had nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. And that alliance was about to burn his world down. Monday, February 12th, 1940, 2:47 p.m. Minton's on 118th Street was where colored folks could sit without judgment. When Mamie walked in with Billie, scarves pulled low, the host simply nodded toward a back booth. They sat with coffee going cold while they talked in low, urgent voices. "Tell me everything about Frankie Doyle," Mamie said. Billie's fingers drummed, the rhythm of a body wanting something it couldn't have. He showed up 6 months ago, started small, buying clubs, befriending cops, then moving product, heroin, purer than anything on the street, cheaper at first, got people hooked, then raised prices. Bumpy let him? Bumpy tried shutting him down twice, but Frankie's got protection, cops, maybe feds. When Bumpy's men move, suddenly there's raids, but only on Bumpy's side. It's a trap. Frankie wants Bumpy to hit him so he can hit back harder with the law. Mamie absorbed this. Frankie wasn't trying to outmuscle Bumpy. He was outmaneuvering him. "Where do you fit in?" Billie looked down. 3 weeks ago, Frankie's boy gave me a package after a show. Gift from a friend. I knew what it was, but I took it. Her voice dropped. "I've been using 2 years. Everybody knows." Mamie didn't confirm or deny. His stuff was better, cleaner, stronger, free. He kept sending it. "Let me know if you need more." Building a chain, getting me dependent. I took it because I needed it. "You're not weak, you're trapped. Different thing." Billie looked up, grateful. "Last week, messages changed. We should meet." Then, "I'd hate for your supply to dry up." Then, "I know people interested in what you know about Bumpy Johnson. He's trying to flip me, turn me informant." "You told Bumpy?" "He said lay low, stop taking Frankie's packages. But my old supply is unreliable, expensive. Frankie's betting I'll choose the needle over principles. He's probably right." Mamie gripped her hand. "You're going to keep taking Frankie's supply." "What?" "Take it, smile, make him think it's working. While you do that, find out everything. Who he's working with, when he's moving, his endgame. You want me to spy. I want you to survive. We take Frankie down first, but we need to know what we're fighting. If he figures it out, he won't. You're Billie Holiday. You've performed your whole life. I'll help you. I know a nurse, Sister Ruth, who can manage withdrawal while you use just enough to stay functional. You get close to Frankie. Let him think he's winning." "What are you doing?" "Watching your back and watching Bumpy. Because if this goes wrong, I need to know which way he moves, towards saving you or saving his empire. You don't trust your husband. I love him, but when men like Bumpy choose between heart and kingdom, kingdom usually wins. I won't let you be the sacrifice." Billie smiled, small, genuine. "You're crazy." "Probably, but I'm right. You in?" Billie extended her hand. "I'm in." Neither noticed the man 3 booths away, hat low, newspaper up, ears catching every third word. He waited until they left, then walked to the payphone. "Yeah," he said when Frankie answered. "You were right. Johnson's wife met the singer. They're planning something." "Good. Let them plan. Let them feel clever. Confident people make mistakes." Over the next 3 days, the plan took shape. Sister Ruth set Billie up with morphine doses to manage withdrawal. Mamie paid cash. Bumpy never noticed the money missing. Meanwhile, Billie began letting Frankie think he was winning. She took his packages, sent thank you notes. When he sent word asking to meet, just dinner, two people who should be friends, she said yes. Friday, February 16th, 1940, 7:15 p.m. The restaurant Frankie chose was downtown in the West Village, where white tablecloths gleamed and other diners stared at Billie like she was somebody's scandal. Frankie stood when she arrived. Miss Holiday, stunning. She sat. Champagne appeared. "I appreciate the gifts," she said. "I take care of friends, and I'd like us to be friends, real friends who help each other." "What kind of help?" He leaned back, studying her. "You're smart. You see things, hear things. Right now, knowing the right things could be valuable. You want information. I want partnership. I want you free from people controlling you, free to sing where you want without answering to Bumpy Johnson." He leaned forward. "He's using you, Billie. Makes you think he's protecting you, but really he's keeping you dependent. You're one of the greatest voices of our generation, stuck in basement clubs because Bumpy likes having you on a leash. If she hadn't prepared, she might have believed parts. And you don't want me on a leash? I want you free. If some choices benefit me, good business. What would I do? Nothing now. Keep accepting gifts. Keep singing, eyes open. When the time's right, I'll ask questions. Who works for him, where he keeps money, when he's vulnerable. Small things. If I say no, the smile stayed, but something cold moved behind his eyes. I'd hate for your supply to become unreliable. I've seen what happens to talented people when they can't get what they need. Not pretty. Such a waste. Billie forced herself to look frightened. I understand. Good, I knew you were smart. They ate. She played her part, nervous, grateful, weak enough to believe. When his driver dropped her back, she locked her door and vomited from stress. Then she called Mamie. It worked. He bought it. What does he want? Information about Bumpy. He's sending someone with questions this week. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock, Minton's. We're figuring out exactly what you tell him. Truth mixed with lies that sound useful, but won't hurt Bumpy. Wednesday, February 21st, 1940, 11:34 a.m. Bumpy Johnson noticed something was wrong when he walked into his kitchen and found Billie Holiday sitting at his table, talking quietly with his wife. He stopped, coffee mug frozen. "Morning. Billie's visiting," Mamie said. "We've become friends." It was clearly bullshit, and all three knew it. Bumpy set his mug down carefully. "Mamie, other room, now." Once the bedroom door closed, his voice dropped dangerously low. "Explain why Billie Holiday is in my kitchen." Mamie met his eyes. "Because Frankie Doyle is using her to get to you. I'm stopping it." Bumpy went still. "Explain." She told him, not everything, but enough. Frankie hooking Billie, building leverage, positioning her as informant. That Billie came to her, scared, and you believed her. "I checked. She's telling truth. Frankie's making a play." "What did you tell her?" "To keep playing along, find out what Frankie wants, who he works with, his endgame." Bumpy turned to the window, jaw tight. "You told my wife to turn one of my people into a spy, without asking." Silence stretched. Mamie could see him wrestling. She'd moved pieces without permission, made calls that should have been his. His hands clenched, unclenched. "You think I can't protect my operations?" "I think you're good at protecting territory, but this isn't territory. It's about which battles you'll fight when cost gets too high. I needed to know, before letting Billie put herself in danger, whether you'd really pull her out if it came down to empire or her life. You think I'd sacrifice her? I think you're a king. Kings make hard choices. I wanted to make sure this wouldn't be one you'd regret." For a long moment, Bumpy stared at his wife, this woman he'd thought he understood, and saw someone he'd underestimated. Finally, slowly, he nodded. "All right, you made your play. Now we do this together. No more secrets. From here, we're a team. Understood?" "Understood." They returned to the kitchen. Billie sat rigid. "Billie," Bumpy said, "Mamie tells me you've been talking to Frankie." "Yes, sir." "He wants information about my operations." "Yes, sir." "Then here's what you'll tell him." For 30 minutes, Bumpy laid out the plan. Information, some true, some false, all chosen to sound valuable while being useless. Dates wrong by a week, abandoned locations, names of men who didn't work for him. Feed him this, he'll think he's getting somewhere. We watch who he talks to, where he moves. When we've got enough, we move. "How?" Bumpy smiled. "Not nicely. However we need to." Bumpy's technician built a wire, tiny microphone sewn into dress lining, connected to a recording device no bigger than a cigarette case. "Don't touch it, don't adjust it, don't drop your purse," the tech warned. Saturday, February 24th, 1940, 9:47 p.m. The second meeting happened at Frankie's club downtown. Billie arrived wearing the wire. Frankie poured drinks. To friendship. To friendship. He asked questions. She fed him Bumpy's script, making it sound reluctant. Bumpy keeps main cash in a warehouse on 142nd, changes location every 3 months. Next move, March 15th. Frankie wrote it down. Who handles numbers? Wallace Green runs a barbershop on Lenox. More notes. If someone wanted to hit operations, when's he vulnerable? Billie hesitated, calculated. Thursday nights, after collections, before money moves, midnight to 2 a.m., most of it's in one place. It was a lie. Thursday nights, Bumpy's security doubled. Frankie looked up, eyes sharp. "You're sure?" "I've heard him talk about it." He leaned back, satisfied. "You're doing great, Billie. Few more conversations. You'll be free of Bumpy forever." Then casually, "I've got friends in the bureau, federal boys who understand Harlem needs cleaning up. When the time comes, they'll be ready." The bureau, federal agents. When Mamie listened to the recording that night, her blood ran cold. "This is bigger than we thought." "Yeah," Bumpy agreed grimly. "What do we do?" Billie asked, shaking. "If it goes wrong?" Mamie asked. "We disappear. I've got money hidden, safe houses, routes out." "Or someone dies," Billie said quietly. They looked at her. "Let's not pretend. If this goes wrong, someone's dying. Maybe me, maybe you, maybe some cop. Maybe that's the price. But let's be honest." Mamie crossed the room, took Billie's hands. "Nobody's dying. Not you. Not us. We're smarter, more prepared, and we have something he doesn't." "What?" "Each other." Bumpy watched his wife hold a woman's hand, and something shifted in his understanding. "All right, Thursday night, we end this." Psst. "Key, Thursday, February 29th, 1940, 11 to 38 p.m. The warehouse on 142nd was cold, dark, smelling of old wood. Bumpy's men had set up decoy cache, stacks visible through windows, guarded by 2 bored-looking men. Perfect bait. Real money was gone. Real men were hidden. Rooftops, doorways, behind walls with guns loaded. In a van 2 blocks away, Mamie and Billie sat with recording equipment. "You didn't have to come," Mamie said. "Yes, I did. This is my mess." At 12:14 a.m., they heard it. Engines, car doors, footsteps, voices. That's it. 2 guards, just like she said. Through static, federal agents identifying themselves, cops with warrants, Frankie Doyle's voice. Confident, commanding. Nobody leaves alive unless they cooperate. The raid began. Then Bumpy's counterattack. Gunfire erupted, sharp, brutal, shouts, screams. Men realizing too late they'd walked into an ambush. In the van, Billie closed her eyes. How many people are dying because of me? None. Because of Frankie, because of corrupt cops, because of a system built to destroy people like us. You didn't cause this. You refused to be a victim. The gunfight lasted 11 minutes. When it ended, 4 of Frankie's men dead, 3 agents wounded, 2 cops in custody, caught on recording accepting bribes, and Frankie gone, fled the moment he realized the trap. But they had recordings, proof, evidence that would burn through corruption. Bumpy found them an hour later, both exhausted. It's done, most of them. Frankie got away, but his operation's finished. His feds are going to prison. He's got nowhere to hide. Good, Mamie said, but none of them felt good. They felt tired and stained by necessary, but not righteous violence. Friday, March 1st, 1940, 9:15 a.m. Billie woke to pounding. Before she could react, her door burst open. 2 of Frankie's men grabbed her, dragged her fighting into the hallway. A car waited. They threw her in. Frankie wants to talk. They drove to Queens, a rundown building. Dragged her up 3 flights. Threw her into a room where Frankie stood by the window. "You played me," he said without turning. "I don't." He spun, crossed the room, grabbed her throat. "Don't lie. That warehouse was a trap. My men are dead. My operations burned. And you wore a wire, smiled while you destroyed everything." Billie couldn't breathe. "So here's what happens. You're going to call Bumpy Johnson. Tell him you'll trade yourself for safe passage out. If he refuses, if he hesitates, I put a bullet in your head and dump you where every colored person in Harlem can see what happens when you betray me." He released her. She gasped, collapsed. His man handed her a phone. "Call." Due 9:47 a.m. Bumpy's phone rang. "Hello? Bumpy." Billie's voice, strained, scared. "Billie? What?" "Frankie's got me. Queens, some building. He wants safe passage or he kills me. He's serious." The line went dead. U 10:23 a.m. Mamie put it together. He's not going to trade. He's going to kill her the second he feels cornered. "So what do I do?" Bumpy demanded, loading guns. "Let her die?" "No, but if you go in with 20 men blazing, she's dead before you reach the door." "Then what?" Mamie picked up a gun, checked it. "Then I go, alone, unarmed, woman to woman. I walk in, tell Frankie I'm negotiating. While I'm talking, your men get position. When the moment's right, you're suggesting you walk into a building with a man who wants us dead, unarmed, as bait. I'm suggesting I save her life because you can't. Not this time. This takes someone he won't see coming." Bumpy stared. "You could die. So could she. So could you. Someone's going to die. I'm choosing it won't be the woman who trusted me enough to walk into hell because I asked." Bumpy was quiet. Then he handed her a small gun. "Hidden holster, back of your dress." She took it. "1 hour. I'll keep him talking. Bihiu 05 a.m. Mamie walked up alone. Frankie's man at the door looked confused. "I'm here to see Frankie Doyle. Tell him Bumpy Johnson's wife wants to negotiate." 3 minutes later, she was in the room. Billie was tied to a chair, face bruised. Frankie stood across, gun in hand. "Mrs. Johnson, brave or stupid?" "Practical. You want out. My husband wants Billie alive. Seems like we can make a deal." "Why should I believe anything you offer?" "Because if you kill us both, you die today. You know Bumpy. But if you take the deal, safe passage, money to start over, you live. You lose Harlem, but you live." Frankie studied her. "What stops your husband putting a bullet in my back? My word. I'll go with you to the docks. Make sure you get on. Stay until it's too far to follow. You get freedom. Bumpy gets Billie. Everyone walks away." It was too good. Frankie knew it. "You're stalling." "I'm negotiating." "No." He raised the gun at Billie. "You're buying time. How many men outside? 10? 20? Mamie's hand moved to her back, finding the hidden gun. "Enough." Frankie's eyes flicked to her movement. For one frozen second, they both knew. Then 3 things happened. Frankie's finger tightened. Mamie drew and fired. Not at Frankie, but at the rope binding Billie. Every window exploded inward as Bumpy's men crashed through. Gunfire, chaos, screaming. When smoke cleared, 2 of Frankie's men were down. Frankie had a gun to his head, held by Bumpy Johnson. Mamie stood frozen, gun raised, heart pounding. Billie was on the floor, rope severed, alive. "Don't," Mamie said to Bumpy. He looked at her. "Don't kill him. It ends here, but not with more blood. Let the recording work. Let him run. Let him spend the rest of his life knowing he lost to 2 women he thought were too weak." Bumpy's finger stayed on the trigger for a long moment. Then he lowered the gun. "Get out of my city, my state, my country. If I ever see you again, you're dead. Understand?" Frankie nodded, blood running from his nose. They let him walk out, let him disappear into the gray morning. And in that dingy room in Queens, 3 people who'd almost died stood together and proved that sometimes the strongest weapon isn't violence. Sometimes it's just refusing to become what the world expects. Sunday, March 3rd, 1940, 4:17 p.m. They met one last time at the club on 133rd. Billie was on stage, singing "God Bless the Child." Her voice was strong, stronger than it had been in months. Bumpy and Mamie sat at their table, not touching but closer than they'd been in years. When Billie's set ended, she came to their table, sat, accepted the drink Bumpy poured. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now you sing, you live. You get clean if you can, and if you can't, you survive anyway. And you remember there are people in this city who will fight for you. Even if I'm not always worth fighting for?" "Especially then," Mamie said. Billie reached into her hair, pulled out the white gardenia, set it on the table. "For a while, this flower almost destroyed us." "No." Mamie picked it up. "It brought us together, just not the way anyone expected." She handed it back. "Keep it. Wear it. Let it mean something different now. Not betrayal, not suspicion, just survival." Billie smiled, genuine, warm. To survival, then. They toasted. 3 months later, Billie Holiday checked into a clinic upstate. 8 weeks. When she came back, she'd lost weight and gained clarity in her eyes. She sang at the Apollo to a standing ovation. In the audience, Mamie sat alone, Bumpy handling business, and when the gardenia in Billie's hair caught the spotlight, she smiled. Not because everything was fixed. Billie would struggle again, Bumpy and Mamie would fight. The federal government would eventually come for Bumpy's operations. But on this night, a white flower meant exactly what they'd decided. That some things, some people, are worth fighting for, even when the world says they're not. Especially then. I really want to know, where in the world are you watching this from? Drop your city or country in the comments. This story has reached readers on every continent, and I'm always amazed by how far these legends travel. Drop a comment, share this story. Let's talk about it. If this story of the bloodiest wedding in Harlem history hit different, drop a like and subscribe. See you in the next one.